Hey Divine Fam! Today's guest is Hervi Rualo. He's an architect, coach, sports recruiter, professional soccer player, and veteran. We're going to talk about the rad life of Jesus, relationship priorities, athletic and artistry mastery, and dream destiny. First, how are you saved?
When I was about 10 years old, I loved playing the guitar and all that. And then my parents were part of an organization in the Philippines called Cursilio Movement. They hold retreats for married couples and then for single. So there's a couples retreat, and then my dad, there's a time that we would serenade, that he would bring me and he taught me how to play the accordion and the guitar. And because of the fact that I'm there, I started listening to the messages that they're telling people. And then I started going, that's all in the Bible. And so I started reading the Bible. Because in other countries, I don't think they have that maybe some private schools here. We have a course called religion, and we talk about the Bible and learn about God and all of that. So I just started reading about the Bible, and I realized there's so many things that you could learn from that one book that you can't learn anywhere else. So I was 10, 11, 12, and I started saying, that's what actually changed my life. And then when one of my coach saw how fast I am, my dad said, God made you, gave you the ability to be fast, run. He gave you the ability to jump high, then do your best. Give the ability to swim. Use those abilities, because he didn't give it to everybody. And I said, oh. So then he said, while you're doing that, make sure when you do that, you glorify the fact that he gave that to you. So that's when I said, it's not even in the Bible. And just like that, my mom said, 1 Corinthians 10:31. I go, what? Read it. So when I said, oh my goodness. So since then, 10 going to 11, I patterned my life that in everything I do from now on, I will do it to glorify God. It's worked for me so far.
Let's talk about the R in the rad life of Jesus, relationship priorities. How were you able to still prioritize God, even though you were raising a family and had successful careers?
In everything that I do, like I said, I will do it to glorify God. And I found that by waking up in the morning and say, God, thank you for everything that you've done for me, and I'll do my best to glorify you today. I do that every day. And knowing that in the back of your hand that you're doing something to glorify God today, you probably don't want to mess up. Because who wants to disappoint God? So if you put that in your mind, behind your mind, I'm doing this to glorify God, and I don't want to disappoint him, I better do my best. So that's why in everything that I do, I try to do my best, because I don't want to disappoint him. Before I got married, that's by myself, and then I try to, everywhere I go, I have my Bible, I have it in my car, and then when people get into the point where there's discussions and stuff like that, where's she going? Everybody knows. Oh, watch out, he's gonna come back with his Bible. And they go, what? He's going to his car to get his Bible. And everybody goes, oh great, what's gonna happen now? So when I come back, then I share. And by sharing, people get to know me, and I'm able to share them what God wants for their lives. And like I said, that book, that Holy Bible, oh my goodness, that's my lifeline. If I'm sad, I just open the Bible. if I'm happy, I know that I have to thank God for the happiness. So everything that happens in my life, it's because of my decisions, not God's decisions, because He only guides us. We have to make the decision ourselves. But did we do it to glorify Him? Did we do it? Yeah, we make a mistake. Say sorry. Not gonna happen again. Learn from it. So, and if you don't learn from the mistake, then that's your problem. So that's what I tell my players. He ran this way and he came in and he wasn't successful. So are you gonna do it again? No, maybe I'll do something else. Oh, you learn from that. So that's what I tell players. When you make a mistake, first let's see how we can correct it. If we can correct it, then that's fine. But if there's nothing that we can do to correct that motion that you did or something that you said, then we just don't do it again. So because it's not needed. Getting upset at somebody, yelling at somebody, you have to do that. They go, oh, maybe not. Then why did you do it? Well, I got upset. So don't let your day and everything that you do get governed by somebody else's action. You're reacting to somebody. So if they're having a bad day, why would you have a bad day? Let them have their bad day and maybe help them get out of their bad day. So that's what I try to do. Even in Home Depot, where I'm doing part-time work, people begin to see it, and I'm not going there advertising what I do. One of the ladies said, can I talk to you for a second? You're always happy. That's what we see. I said, am I always, no, you're not always smiling, but we can see that you're always happy. And of course, when my mom and dad were still alive, I would call them and tell them to thank them for how they brought me up. So that was one of the things that I did every chance I got, was to thank my mom and dad. And a lot of people don't do that, because the last motivational speaking class that I did, I told everybody, how many of you guys have friends? Everybody. How many of you guys are going to grow up with your friends? And when you get out of college, some of them will be in another state, another country. But who's going to be with you forever while you're on this side of glory? Mom, dad, brothers, sisters. And God. Because that's the most important people in your life. So it's funny, one of my players said, I did that the other day, coach. I said, what? What you told us? What did I tell you? You told us to say, just without asking you anything, just go to our mom, give them a hug and say, I love you, and then walk away. So, did you do that? Yeah. What kind of backfired on me? I said, how did it backfire on you? As I was leaving, she goes, you, come back here. What do you want? I said, you know why your mom reacted like that? When was the last time you did that? I can't remember. So she's going, why did he do that? But if you do it every day, she would know that you're doing it just because you love her. And she goes, I have to do that every day. I go, yep, in action, not just in words. You don't have to tell your mom you love her every day. A little hug,
No.
You see something on the floor, pick it up. Just do something nice.
How were you still able to prioritize your wife?
everything that's out if my wife needs me. I don't care if I have to, the most expensive house that I'm building. If my wife needs to talk to me, everybody second goes on the side, because my wife is my lifeline. God, when God brought her in my life, I feel like an angel came down from heaven. Like, why did I deserve this? Well, maybe I'm doing something right. So, and she's there to support me in everything that I do. She's first in my life. I'm second, but of course God is number one. But after God, it's my wife, because she said yes to me. That means we're gonna share our lives together, and she's gonna help me bring the kids up and all of that. That's something that she wanted to do.
How did you grow to become a better husband for her?
When I do things that involves the family, the first thing that I ask myself is, what would Teresa think if this happened? Buying a car, simple buying a car. The guy said, the guy that was said, did you just say, I wonder if my wife would like this? And I said, but I thought this car is for you. Yeah, I wonder what my wife would think about it. And the guy said, should you bring your wife here so you could make a decision? I said, that's not a bad idea. I always look, since we've been married, like I said, my life was attached to her. So I will not make any decisions without, because any decisions that I make after we got married, I know would affect her. And a lot of people, a lot of husbands, I think sometimes they forget that. Whatever you do, it doesn't just affect your life. You are together.
How did you disciple your wife?
She is a very religious person. She always, the reason why, one of the things that drew me to her was I would go visit her, and her sister would go, oh, she's reading the Bible. What? Give her another hour, and so she does it every day. And then I go, I do that every day. That's kind of interesting that God would give me somebody that does what I do. And then we just basically, and not really discipleship, but we would, that was one of the things, what would God think? What would God do? What would Jesus Christ do? That was one of our war cry at home. Okay, this happened. I know it's upsetting, but how would Jesus Christ react to this? And I think that's one of the reasons why she would ask me what I think, and why I would ask her what she thinks, because first thing that we think of is, okay, well, how would Jesus Christ react to it? And that's how we try to live our life. And if that's called discipling each other, then I think we're doing a pretty good job. And then, because our kids sees it, so we don't have to tell our kids, because we notice that they're now doing that with their family. My daughter was in charge of moms of preschool, and anything that she does. She had a song that she was singing at she was in the pulpit, and she said, God is not done with me yet. When I heard that from my daughter, I go, oh, that is pretty cool. And the same thing with my son, when he takes pictures. My youngest son said, Dad, I just did something to glorify God today. And I go, my wife said, you know why they act like that, right? Because they see you do it. So if now knowing that my kids are watching me, that's one of the things that I tell when I do motivational speaking, and even with teachers. I tell them, you know, students are watching you. Your sons are watching you. Your daughters are watching you. So if you know that, maybe you'll be a little bit more conscious of how godly you should act every day.
How did you prioritize your 5 children?
Well, it's them first. Their needs comes first before anything else, because you know, by asking. So what is happening today? Before I make any decisions, instead of making a decision, I go, oh, I forgot you have this. So I said, hey, anything happening today at school, or is anything happening today in your life that I need to know? And if they said, oh, we're doing this, so and so has a birthday, and okay, that comes first. Then I would make my decision based on what's happening in my kids' lives. Because one time I learned really bad from it. I decided I was going to go to this soccer symposium. Well, then I realized that by doing that, I missed I said my son had an award at school that I missed. But of course, my godly wife took a video, so I did, and it sent it to me with a little, "You're missing this," and I'm going, great. So first thing I did was I looked for the best guy that could replace me at the camp, and I said, "Hey, you've been doing this for a long time as well, right? I need to go." And they go, "What? My son is getting an award. I'm going home." So I showed up towards the end, but I know everybody was going, "Oh, what is?" It was Sean. What is Sean looking for? He kept on looking for me. I showed up and that feeling that I had when I got there, and then he looked at me and went like this. And there's 10-15 minutes left in the award ceremony. I said, okay, I will never miss anything like that again. So before I make any plans, I always ask, hey, what's happening this week? Are there any family things that's going on? Then I make my timing to do that first and include whatever it is. But God is great too. He allows us to have time for me to take care of family business, and not really business, but family matters, and then what I want. Because He knows that when I do things for soccer, for anything, He knows I'm doing it to help kids get to be a better person and to help glorify God. Because that's my goal, is to teach kids how to glorify God. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job at it.
How did you disciple your children?
Just by example, by showing them examples. Like my son was watching a game. Hey, Dad, that guy kept on trying to trip you. I said, yeah. Well, was he successful? Well, he almost tripped you once. He'll probably do it the rest of the game. I'll just have to make sure that he doesn't do it. Well, what happens if he trips you? Well, hopefully the referee calls a foul. If the referee doesn't call a foul, then God knows it happened. And my son goes, what? You're not going to get mad? I said, why? Why would I get mad at something stupid that he did? And I feel sorry for him for doing that. And so that's, I remember one time something did something to my son. They were playing frisbee, and somebody just pushed him. And everybody looked at Sean and goes, why did you get mad? I felt sorry for him. And everybody goes, what? Because he did something dumb, and I'm not gonna react to something dumb by doing something dumb. And when I hear my kids saying things like that, I've done my job, you know. So by showing an example of how to react to anger, because anger sometimes causes you to do things that you don't really want to do.
Let's move to the A in the rad life of Jesus, which is athletic artist mastery. How did you go from soccer player to becoming a professional soccer player?
What happened was you want to excel because God gave you that gift. You want to do the best you can, and I didn't say I'm going to be a professional soccer player. If that's what I tell people, college students, like right now, they asked me to be part of the Academica USL women's team in Turlock. It's right below the professional team. So these players, if they get better, they'll make it to the professional, the pro level. This is like the semi-pro. And why did I get that phone call? Well, because the people realized that I know how to develop players because of my work ethics. And I tell people, athletes, coaches that are always looking for the better players, so showcase. So that's what I help. That's how I help people showcase their talent. And then I didn't say I'm going to be a pro or something like that. They saw what I can do and said, "Hey, do you want to join the team?" I was in the Philippines. There was a professional team called Meralco. And then when I got here, they were starting the San Jose Earthquakes.
Who did you model after?
His name is Edson Arantes de Nacimiento. And a lot of people don't know that, but that's Pele's real name. Pele was the best soccer player that's ever lived. Well, Messi is now considered that. But the reason why I liked him was his name was Edson Arantes de Nacimiento. And he was good when he was little. And people notices that. And the reason why he was good, his uncle is named Pele. So when they would ask him, "Hey, that was pretty good what you did there. Who are you?" He would say, "Pele," like his uncle. So everybody thought that was his name. That wasn't his name. His uncle was Pele, but his name is Edson Arantes de Nacimiento. So when I was reading his story, and I go, he called himself Pele because he thinks he's as good as his uncle. That's his hero. So he's trying to be his hero, and people started noticing him because of the effort, the mental toughness, the time that he spent, and then he said something that I will never forget. And he said, "What do you attribute your success to?" And all of a sudden, there's my mom again. He said, "God made me good." He instantly became my hero. Pele was a captain of the Brazilian national team. If you look up Pele, and the funny part was they traveled, and because he played for a team called Santos in Brazil, and that team was going from place to place to make their so they went to Asia to play different teams, and that's how I found out his real name, because at that point everybody knew who Pele is. And my coach said, "Hey, Rualo," and I said, "Yes, you're the fastest player here. We're going to play that Santos club just for a friendly game. I want you to guard this player named Edson Arantes de Nacimiento." And I said, "Yeah, bring him on." And he goes, "I'll guard him with my life." And then they came out, and I go, "Number 10, the coach, That's that's Pele. And that's Edson Arantes del Cement. That's who you're guarding today. I go, yeah, really? I go, so I just followed him everywhere he went. And I was grabbing his shirt, grabbing his pants. And I was doing my best to take. After the game, he goes, hey, numero ocho. I go, I said, see? And he goes, took his shirt off. You've been wanting my shirt the whole game. You can have it. I have that shirt. And he signed it. Edson Arantes de Nacimiento. So people will come to my house asking, hey, that's Pele's shirt. Who's Edson Arantes? I said, that's his real name. He gave that shirt to me.
Knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself starting out as a soccer player?
Growing up, sometimes I have a tendency to think of myself. How will I stick out on the as an individual player? And that's when you start losing the teamwork part. You're part of a team, and you make yourself successful by learning the strength of the players that you're playing with. So you use their strength to make you a better player. So if I know that you run fast and I have the ball and you're making a run to a certain space, oh, I'm going to play the ball there so she can get there with the ball and she could score for us. So, because now I know your strength. And if I don't know your strength, then I can't be a better player. So that's how I tell people to become a better player. Know the strength of all the players that surround you and that support you, because that's how you become a better player. Just knowing your ability, knowing players' ability, and then of course listening to the coach instructions, because some coaches have a way of dealing with the tactical parts of the game. And of course, always I'm going to do my best to glorify God today.
Can you give advice for aspiring professional soccer players?
It's the work ethics, mindset, and making sure that you have time to practice the sport that you want to excel in. If you want to be valuable, look at all the technical and tactical skills that's needed to be the best valuable player. If you're a swimmer, work on your swim strokes, but you got to do it every day. It's not when you can do it. It's if you want to be good in something, you have to spend at least half an hour to an hour on it every day. And that's what I told them. They go, I got to do it every day. I said, yeah, if you want to be good at something, you got to be. That's why I tell all my players, if you're a soccer player, touch the ball daily. And if you do that, it becomes natural. It becomes part of you. If you want to excel in any sports, read on the technical and tactical skills that's needed to excel in that sport and work on it every day. Then if you do that, you will be noticed. And they said, well, no, calling a coach and saying, hey, I'm good, doesn't make you a professional player. Showing that you are good will get you noticed. But sometimes it's hard they don't know you. That's where I come in. I will see if you're ready, and then I'll invite that coach to watch you. And he goes, you'll do that for me when you're ready, because I don't want you to fail. They said, we have a game next week. Not ready yet. When I see that you're ready, because I can see it, then I will get your profile, put down why you want to be in that atmosphere, what you feel you could contribute and all of that. Then we'll write down all your technical and tactical skills that we've observed, so that when they go there, they have something as a guide to see, oh, look at this, he does that. So stuff like that. And then that's part of the recruiting system, and that's part of the way I help kids get to that next level.
Any other advice for aspiring professional soccer players?
You go to an internet and say, what's the mechanics of a ball, how to volley a ball, how to head the ball, how to kick the ball right. Everything is now in the internet. And even running style, a lot of people fail because when they run like this. You have to run like this. See, you're trying to go forward, but your hands are going sideways. And if you watch a lot of runners, when they run like this. But you want to go forward, so you have to run like that. Those are just the simple mechanics that, and stop going like this. It's a necessary movement of the head. Because one guy thought he would run faster if he started bobbing his head back and forth. I said, you're going forward, right? And you're going like this. And then the action is going backwards. You're keeping yourself from going forward by going forward. And he goes, well, it looked good. That one guy was so fast, and he kept on going like this. And I said, was that you? No, that's him. Why do you want to be like him? You want to be you. And he goes, oh, keep your head steady and run without the extra movement. Because it didn't say in the running coaching book that if you move your head back and forth, you will run faster. Oh, okay. Keep it simple. That's the KISS. Forget the other S, but keep it simple. And then the last S is a word that we don't want to use.
You are also a sports recruiter. Can you touch on that?
Helping and train kids and help them put their profiles and all of that, athletic profiles, so they can get to their college of choice. Not only in soccer, it could be, I helped a young lady get to, she's a flyer in cheerleading. I helped her get in college, get her in the cheerleading squad. So a lot of people don't realize that cheerleading is a sport too. So when somebody needs help, I guide them. But one of the things that I always tell them that, remember, you're going to school not for the sport. The sports will get you there, but you're going there for education.
You are also a coach.
Yeah, I am the director of coaching at Tracy right now. And what I do is I help coach learn how to coach. I teach coach how to coach. And we have a coaching school, and that's part of the United States Youth Soccer Federation. And we have different levels of coaching, and we have classes that coaches attend, and we teach them, and then they get to the different levels until they get to the A license.
Did you go to any kind of schooling to become a coach?
There's the United States Soccer Federation, USSF, and USY, United Youth Soccer Association, have a course that you can take. It's an F course, and an E course, and then National D, National C, B, and A. So it's a 3-day course that you attend, and then you use it for a month or a few months before you finally get your license. And then if you follow the curriculum, you'd be surprised how much it can make you a better coach. That's why it was designed by coaches that have been successful.
Can you give advice for aspiring coaches?
Focus on on kids, the success of the kids. Focus, priority one is the success of the kids. That's our priority one. Well, if they can teach, I'm going to go back to 1 Corinthians 10:31, 10:13, 10:31, as he said, in everything that you do it to glorify God. And it will sink in. It will sink in with people. You know, a lot of people go, I don't want to disappoint my coach. But do you want to disappoint God?
As a coach, you worked with Hope Solo. Can you share a little bit more?
We go to a regional camp. Players that are good makes it to regional. And I didn't plan on it. She just happened to be there. And I was in charge of the goalkeeping part. And they said, okay, you're going to do the goalkeeping demonstration. And I said, well, I'd like to observe goalkeepers. I said, she's good, she's good. I said, can you ladies do the demonstrations for me? I didn't know who they were. They were. And all of a sudden they go, you know, one of the ladies that you picked to do the demonstration during the expo for regionals is the goalkeeper for the U.S. national team. I go, oh, okay. So now everybody thinks. I said, I did not coach her since she was little. She was already good. When I saw her, we just made her part of the demonstration because I want players to see how it's done correctly. So that's how we pick players like her and the players that some players I've actually coached there's a program called Olympic Development Program that was I started I think in 1978, and I just happened to be one of the lucky coaches that got involved in it because I have a mentor named Carl DeWash, and he was the state coaching coordinator for Northern California, and he kind of took me on my wing and taught me how to coach, you know, and my coaching style and how I look at athletes was from his mentoring, and I owe him a lot. His name is Carl DeWash, and he has a book called Fundamentals of Soccer, with the word fun in capital letters. And when I first saw that, Fundamentals of Soccer, and then I started reading it, and I said, this is what everybody needs to. Then he started doing coaching courses. Then he said, I need a state coaching coordinator. I go, okay. So I would help set up camps for him and all of that, and then watch him transform mediocre coaches to great coaches. A lot of people that are coaching right now is because of his book and because of how he decided, how do I do this? I'll write a book. So he wrote the Fundamentals of Soccer, the 9 steps on how to coach kids and all of that. And the one thing that I liked that drew me closer and closer to him, because he's doing it for the kids. Priority is number one is the kids. And he was the one that hammered that in my head. You want to be successful in teaching kids? Make them the priority number one. That's why I love that man. As soon as I heard that this is for the kids, kids first, I knew he was the guy I want to work with. You know, so, and that's what I tell all the coaches in all my emails that I send out. I always end it with, make sure that we make our kids priority number one. The more you say it, you know. In fact, now when people are writing stuff for me, do you want me to send this out to everybody? Oh, then they go, you want me to write down at the end, make kids priority? people are beginning to realize that I do that in everything that I send out. Make kids priority number one, even in school and in everything. Make kids, or the young kids that young people that you're mentoring, make them the priority one.
As a coach, you give great experiences.
We take kids to Hawaii and all of that because I want them to experience, because experiencing something helps. Because if you don't know how it was done or you didn't experience it yourself, you won't know how to do it. So throw this ball and it goes, okay, you're gonna become the best pitcher. But if you didn't experience how to pitch, then how can you? So you have to do it. So when we get a chance, we help teams get to that level. That's why I like working with the soccer system in the United States, because they create programs for kids to participate and be successful. And that's one of the reasons why I'm involved with the soccer program in America, because in other countries, they're beginning to realize that, hey, we need to have a program that focuses on the kids, not wait until they're in high school. Sometimes it's too late. When they're in high school, they've had bad habits. We got to reach them when they were 6 years. That's why we now have an under 6 program, and then under 8s, under 10, under 12, and we bring them up. And basically everything that you're doing when you were 5 years old, you're still doing it when you're 21. You're just doing it faster, a little bit stronger. You think better than a 5-year-old. So, but imagine doing that repeatedly until you're in college. That's how college kids get successful, because they've been doing it and they've experienced how to compete. That's the key, is knowing how to compete. And remembering that you're part of a team, you're not an individual. Use each other's strength. That's what I tell people. I might be fast, but she might be faster. I might be able to kick a ball right now and get a goal, but is she in a better position to score? Pass the ball to them. And instead of, I'm going to take this shot. Wait a minute. My teammate is in a better position. So those are the things that we teach. Your vision, knowing each other's strength, supporting the players that have the ball, just being involved as a team, because there's 10 of you, when somebody scores, you all win. Not just the one person.
What do you do at the end of a camp?
So what happens at the end of this camp, I tell everybody, did we have fun? Yes. Did we glorify God? So sometimes people comes up to me and goes, is this some kind of Christian camp? I said, no. I just want them to know that today God gave us a beautiful day. And I always say that. Isn't it a beautiful day that God gave us today so we could play sports? And at the end, I said, everybody's got a soccer ball? It could be a softball. It could be a baseball. It could be a basketball. We just throw it up in the air to show God that we appreciate Him.
Can you share some funny stories of being a coach?
Aside from falling down a set of bleachers because I was laughing so hard, or I was laughing so hard at something that happened, and I fell backwards, and everybody goes, "What happened?" I don't know. He thought something was fun, or kids scoring at the wrong goal, and parents get upset, and I think it's funny, and I go, "Why do you think it's funny that she scored?" Well, don't you think that's, instead of getting upset, it's an oops. We call it an oops goal. She scored in the wrong goal. So let's make that funny instead of making her think about that the rest of her life, that she made a mistake. things happening where somebody kicks a ball, goes over the goal, and hits somebody else in the back, and little things like that. That was not paying attention. And then, for me, that's funny, because why would you go to a stadium and look at your phone instead of watching the game? Little things like that. So if the ball hits you in the face, it's your fault.
As a coach, can you share a powerful story where you knew it was God?
State Cup finals. We were down 2 players. One player got red carded because of what he did. So now we're playing 9 versus 10 on the field. So we're 1 man down, and then somebody got hurt. So now we're playing 8. And this, if we tie or win, we go to regionals in Hawaii. And all we have to do is tie, and we were down 1. So I said, let's do this. I told everybody, if we score another goal, we'll tie. Imagine going to regionals. I said, that's something that you guys, all of you kids that are in high school right now that want to go to college, regional coaches will be there to watch. And I said, then I think just challenging them, saying that we're down 1 player. Let's now. So I started telling them, okay, you now have to guard 2 players instead of 1, and you have to now look at the other player that's unmarked because we're down 2, and let's surprise them, because they won't expect us to attack because we're 2 men down. And then I said, okay. Then we scored. We tied the game, so now we're just by tying, we know we're going to regionals. And then I saw the look in my daughter's face. I just don't want to go to regionals. I want to make sure that they know we're going to regionals because we won. And all of a sudden, just know her. Here she is, going one-on-one with a player, and then everybody was yelling, shoot, right? And she looked, and one of our players, and Jamie, was running down the other side because they're focusing on her now. She passed the ball, and Jamie scored, so we won. And everybody goes, why didn't you take the shot? Because that's when I knew I taught her right, because she said, because my dad said, you got to give it to the player with a better chance to score. I could have beat the goalkeeper, but she was free as a lark over there, so I gave her the ball. And we all won. I said, I didn't win. She didn't win. We all won. And we went to regionals, and I'll never forget that. That was the best time of our lives. And whole family went, of course. And, Georgia, Sean was young at that time. I think going to something that was accomplished when you were 2 players down, and just because of their ability to be fast, and then I told Jamie, and that was the reward I got when I heard a player saying, God, Coach, did you see that? I said, yeah. Remember what you said about God making me fast? And I figured I'll just run as fast as I can. And since God made me fast, maybe I'll get rewarded.
So the teams you coach are not necessarily Christian teams. So how are you still able to disciple?
The things that I always do is every time we start a game, I gather the kids together, and then I ask all of them one at a time before the game starts, say something good that you've done for somebody today that glorifies God. And each of the players would go, and I do that every game that I coach until I start coaching at Las Positas. One of the coach from the other team heard. He said they're praying. They can't pray in school, so reported me to the referee. And I said, the referee said, "Excuse me, coach. Can I talk to you?" He said, we can't do this huddle." I go, "Why?" You can't lead a prayer. You're a coach, like a teacher. You can't lead prayers." And one of my kids got up. "Coach, go to the stand. We got this." And the referee goes, "Well, it's nothing we can do. The kids want to do it themselves, right?" So the coach goes, "Ah." So we won the game 5-0. And after the game, one of the players from the other team said, and I will never forget this, "We should have prayed like them before the game." And then all of a sudden, there's this coach having this discussion with one of my players. And I said, "Rhiannon, come here. What did you tell the coach?" Because I could hear him saying, "You like your coach, and you think you guys are too good for everybody." And then I said, "If you said something that made that coach mad, I would like you to apologize." I said, "Coach, can you come here for a second? What did my player say to you that got you mad?" He told me, she told me she prayed for me too. And I said, "Rihanna, did you tell the coach that?" "Yes." First of all, you didn't have to do that, because I know why she was doing it. She was trying to annoy the coach, because the coach complained about us praying. And then as she was leaving, I said, "Hey coach, you should have just said thank you." "Oh, you holy rollers," and he moved away. And I got with my team. See what just happened there? First of all, if we're going to do this, you don't have to tell the other group, that we prayed for them as well. And Rihanna goes, "I was just annoyed that he made you go sit in the bleachers." And I said, "Don't, it's okay." So they told her, "What did you tell the coach?" I told her, "What?" I told the coach I prayed for him too. And those are these are the fun stuff that happens in soccer. If you want to go, but find out a funny thing, that my kids are actually getting to I thought that was funny. The other coach didn't think so. He was mad. He reported me leading prayers before a game, and we're in the school campus, because they said you can't do that. You can't have prayers in the school campus. And I go, "Really?" I said, "Go sit." That's when Rhiannon said, "My captain, we got this handled, coach. I'm taking care of it."
Any other wisdom for aspiring coaches?
First, they need to do this for the right reason, not for the money. That's where a lot of the clubs in that have youth sports program are failing, because they're paid coaches. They're doing it because they're getting paid. If you're doing this because you love the game, you're getting compensation. You get gasoline money. You get your hotels when you go to away games taken care of and all of that. But don't do it because you're getting paid. And that's why in our club that I am right now, we're missing a lot of good coaches because they're going to clubs that pays coaches. And so I'm keeping coaches that are there for the kids, which is kind of okay too, but it's kind of sad that I'm not saying that coaches should not be paid. Well, if the club wants to pay a coach, but don't make that your main reason for coaching. And then get to learn the kids one-on-one. Because a lot of coaches, they coach the team, but they forget to do a one-on-one with each of the players. You need to know your players individually as a player, their strength, what they contribute, and then you put that whole thing together. Because that's one of the advice that you need to know each of your players individually. That's very important. Not oh, this is my team. Well, do you know her strength? Not individually. You should know that. So that's what I advise coaches. Make sure that you have one-on-one meetings with every player on your team.
Okay, we talked about athletic mastery. Now let's move to artist mastery. You are an artist and an architect, and one thing you do is make custom art for people, including us. How many have you made?
Thousands.
Thousands!
Because I just finished one for one of the ladies. I was helping at the counter, and her daughter, I said, what's your problem? And she said, oh, it's her birthday next week. And she doesn't know what she wants. And I go, what's your name? And she said, Aurora. And I said, oh, do you like cartoons? Yes. And what are you asking? I said, I just want to know. And I said, give me the cartoon characters that you like. So she gave it to me, and I told the mom, when's her birthday? He said, oh, this Thursday. Okay, Friday, swing by here, and if I'm not here, I'll leave it I'll leave it at the customer service. I'm gonna have something for her. But she looked at me and goes, why? And I said, so she will be happy. Okay, yes. So I did a poster for her with her name, and about 3 days, the week after her birthday, her mom came up with what do you call it? Bun cake. Mm-hmm. This is from our family to you. My daughter was showing that up. She brought it to school. She brought it, and all of a sudden, her friends shows up at the counter at the millwork at Home Depot looking for Hercules, because that's my real name. Can you do this for us too? Because it's really, really cool. So how do you say no when God brings these kids that I didn't know, I don't know?
How did you get into it?
When I was young, I liked to draw, because I just liked to draw, because my mom was very artistic. She's always doing stuff in the walls, you know, to make things. And she because my mom has done so much for me, she said, you like to draw? Read on this guy, Norman Rockwell, illustrator. And I go, I do that. And so I started telling people I was Norman Rockwell Jr. And they go, what? My mom would go, oh, he thinks it's Norman Rockwell. And they would look, you did this? And then the more people asked, the more intrigued I got. Like, why are they surprised that I can do something like this? Because then my mom's ringing voice, because God gave you the ability. And if God gave you the ability, what do? 1 Corinthians 10:31, do it to glorify Him. So in everything that I do now, I try to do it so to make people happy, and at the same time, I think I'm glorifying God.
How did you get better at drawing?
When I was in high school, we have drafting, we have arts, and my teachers noticed, good teachers notice students that have special talents. And I was lucky enough, I was in a private boys' school growing up, St. Benedict's Boys, San Beda, St. Benedict's, and then Don Bosco with the Salesian brothers. The teachers notice that I can do things, and then they say, hey, can you do this for the school? Oh, can you do? So they help you And then when I went to architecture, part of the subject was fine arts. And that's when again, my fine arts teacher said, "Hey, well, you know what I did this?" And he goes, "Yeah, well, I have a little show that I need to do to promote our school and get more people to come into our school and fine arts. And I want to showcase students' talents." And I said, "You want me to be part of your?" And then of course, again, why do you think he noticed that? Because God gave you that gift. And if you're going to do something for your teachers, make sure you do it the best you can so you can glorify Him. And that's the way my mind works.
Was there any famous people that you modeled your art after?
Michelangelo, because I was very intrigued with the story, that the fact that he laid on his back while he was drawing. So one time, my mom was going, "What are you doing?" Because I had my board, and I put it and I clamped it underneath the dining table. Then I went underneath in a little chair, and I lay down and I started drawing. I wanted to experience what he experienced. My mom was, "What are you doing?" I'm trying to see what Michelangelo and all those great painters felt when they were drawing in the cathedral. And they go, and the ceiling, that when you see it, how did they do that? Now I know, because I experienced it. And my dad goes, "What is he doing underneath the table?" He thinks he's in the 16th channel. He's drawing like Michelangelo. And my dad goes, "You know you're nuts, right? But you're a good nut." So when I see something, I want to experience it.
Why did you become an architect?
Because my dad owns one of the biggest construction company in the Philippines, and he said, "It'd be nice if one of you become an architect." And I said, "Okay, fine. I like to draw." And then they said, "Maybe it should be you." So that's what I did. I decided I'm going to be an architect and help out. So I got my degree in architecture and master's in architecture, and I started drawing houses and buildings and stuff like that. And then that's where people saw some of the things that I've done. And I said, "Where'd you get that idea?" I said, "I like doing things different. Because just because somebody built something, don't copy it. Then it's not original." And I don't like copying things. So I would do things a little bit different. And that's when people start noticing, "I like that house. Who did that?" And they would say, "Can you make my house just like that?" And I said, "We can't do that because that's for that family. Tell me what your lifestyle. What do you like? What do you do? Blah, blah." And then as they're talking, I will start sketching. Then when they're done talking, I go, "Is this something that you're looking at?" Then they would go, "That's what I'm thinking about." So that's how I create things by talking to people. Their likes and the two-story, one-story, multi-level. Then while they're talking, my brain started processing some of the stuff, and then I started drawing. And my mom took me aside one time when I was in high school. Said, "You know why you can draw well, right? Because that is not something you learned. That's something that God gave you." Then I said, that's when I started thinking that everything. Then she said, "Read this, 1 Corinthians 10:31. And everything that you do, in anything that you say, glorify God." First Corinthians 10:31 became my war cry. Anything that I do, anything that I say, I don't care if it's sports, anything. Gotta do it to glorify God. Do it in the glory of God. So that's my war cry, 10:31. That's why when I saw that movie of this players doing things, these runners, they were not the best runners, but they had a coach that told them, they put in their shirts 10:31. Everybody said, what's 10:31? We're running because God made us fast. So if God give you the ability to build something, God give you the ability of being fast, run. God give you the ability to teach, communicate. God gives you the ability to draw. You know, so that's how I live my life. If I can do things because God gave it to me, not because I learned it from colleges. You can only learn how to be patient. You can learn how to be persevere. Somebody told me a long time ago, one of my favorite coaches, because we always hear practice, repetition makes, he said, repetition makes permanent. And I go, what do you mean? If you repeat something over and over and over, it becomes part of you. And that's the way you live your life, part of God. And I said, oh, okay. And because I heard somebody in one of the coaching courses, oh yeah, repetition makes perfect. And I corrected him and I said, there's only one perfect person. Nobody's perfect. But I said, stand up. So he stood up. Sit down, sit down. You stand up, sit down, jump. What? When I told you to jump, how come you were able to jump? Because you've done it several times. But was it a perfect jump? No. Nothing's perfect, but repetition makes permanent. So that's what I tell my kids. Practice every day. Because you do something over and over and over and over, it becomes part of you. You become a better player because you've done it, and your body reacts to it, without thinking. It's part of you. So repetition makes permanent, and that's another motto that I try to tell my kids. Do something over and over and over and be good at it. But you'll never be perfect at it because there's only one perfect person. Even Pele, the best soccer player in the world in his prime, and Messi misses penalty kicks because nobody is perfect. But what they do is part of them because they've done it repetitive times. So that's how I coach. A lot of repetitions.
What would you tell an architect starting out?
Listen to people, because a lot of people don't listen. The act of again, this is one thing that I learned from my grandpa. He said the reason why he was successful because he listens instead of telling people what they want.
What mentors, books, or internet helped you that might help an inspiring architect?
So people read on what made Le Corbusier, Frank Lloyd Wright, all those architects that are famous. What made them famous? What goals did they have? How did they create things for clients? Just read and learn, because a lot of people think, oh, I know what I want. Yeah, but sometimes we don't know what we want until we learn from others. Learning from others, especially uh, people that are successful. Well, why is Michelangelo successful? I'll read about it. Why is this one person successful in life? Read what he did. You know, then you learn, and then you prioritize. Okay, I like this part. You don't have to mimic what he did. Make it yours. Make it part of you. Okay, I'm gonna take this away from this one guy. I'm gonna take that away from that one guy. This is me now. So this is my identity because of what I learned from all these great people. Because that's why they write books. We could learn uh, from everybody.
What is your favorite project you worked on as an architect?
Aside from designing my parents' home, the best, biggest project that I thought was amazing was when I was working for Gallo. They said we're gonna build one of the biggest underground cellar in the world. It's gonna house 13 uh, uh, story stacks of wine barrels, and it's gonna be underground. We have to dig, and I'm envisioning all of this work that needs to be done. So when we first started creating this big giant hole in the ground in this hill, everybody goes, "Hey, I got building swimming pool?" And I said, "No, it's going to be an underground cellar, and it's I don't know if it's the biggest in the world, but it could be close to one of the biggest underground cellar in the world, and it's in Hillsburg, uh, uh, north of Santa Rosa, and it's owned by the Gallo family. And the fact that I was part of the original design, where it's going to go, work with the structural engineer, mechanical engineer, and all of that to make sure that everything works. And you could drive uh, a tour bus. That's how big it is into this underground cellar, and show people what the Gallos have created because they're visionaries. The Gallos. That's the reason why their company, the Gallo family, is the biggest wine producing family owned company in the world. And I was lucky enough to be part of that group and work with Ernest and Julio, and directly with their son, Robert Gallo, who was responsible for my dream of doing certain things that I couldn't have dreamed if I didn't work with them. So, but the first thing that I thought was my Taj Mahal thing was when my dad said, "We're moving. You need to design us a house at the Green Hills." And I go, "What? Dad, I just finished architectural school. You want me to design our house?" And they said, "You're an architect. Design a house for the family." And I did. We got a fountain. I thought I did a great job, and it was sad when my dad said, "We're moving to America, and we're gonna sell that house." And I said, "I hope that house the person that buys this house loves it the way we did." So I still go to the internet and go to corner of Polk and Buchanan. They go, "Wait a minute, you live in the Philippines. Your address is at the corner of Polk and Buchanan, Green Hill subdivision in the Philippines?" And I go, "Yeah, it's the subdivision. All the street names are names of presidents of the United States." "Oh," they go, "and it's in the Philippines." People can figure that out. I said, "Yeah, you'd be surprised how much culture the Philippines have connected with Spain and the United States."
What are your spiritual gifts?
One of them is the ability to, I guess, share God's word without being afraid that somebody's going to um, get upset. Because a lot of people don't talk about God because they feel that, oh, maybe they'll get mad at me if I know. And God inspires me daily. I wake up and I go out the backyard, and one of my neighbors goes, "Oh, you're here." So, and I said, "Why?" And they said, "The other day we were trying to figure out who was yelling outside." And then I looked out. It was you. I said, "What were you doing?" I said, "Oh, I just said, God, thank you for another day." And and he told his wife, he does this daily. He goes out there and yells, and I do. I yell it out.
How did you discover your spiritual gifts?
First of all, guidance from my parents. They found out at a young age when I say things to other people, I know how to use words to make people listen. I don't know where the words are coming from. I'm sure it's from God, but when I'm talking to people, for some reason I capture their attention, and I think it's because I don't talk about myself. I talk about God, and a lot of people make a mistake of talking about who they are, what they can do for you. Now, what can God do for you today? Not what I can do for you, because I can't do anything for you today. But how can God inspire us, all of us? How can God? I always use that because I'm not the one inspiring people. I'm using the things that I know about God to inspire people.
How do you grow your spiritual gifts?
By reading the Bible daily.
How do you combine your creative skills with your spiritual gifts?
People notices in everything that I do, there's always a cross. There's always a reference to God. Glorify God daily. I always involve that in everything that I do. And they go, "What's this 3 cross on this drawing?" Then all of a sudden, I have it. I was able, now I got their attention. That's my way of getting their attention. Okay, you want me to explain what those 3 crosses mean? This is what happened to me. God was this too. All of a sudden they go, where can I find that story? And they go, that's all in the Bible. They go, so what I would do things to make people ask questions. What is this? Oh, opportunity to talk about God. So those are the things that I do. And I learned that from my dad. He would do things even at work. He will do something to he goes. He would paint a color purple one time. And I go, why is that purple? The purple is the color of the king. Oh, and who's number one king? And that gives him the opening to talk about God. So I learned from my dad that if you do something or say something that opens the forum of talking about God, boom, you just made it. That there's your door. You just open a door to talk about. And one time I said, where the word history came from, right? It's a story. And he goes, what? It's a story. We're talking about and they go, oh, so every time that guy thinks of history now, he's going, I'm talking about his story. And even though he's doing something, history of Bangladesh, there's a connection. That's why it's called history. And again, who connected me to that. My mom called me one day and said, "You know where this word came from?" So that's why my heroes are my mom and dad. Growing up, my goodness, I've learned so much from them. Now to become a good, um, not only a student, learning the Word of God, but how to help others by the little hints that we put in. So like I said, in all of my drawings, there's a J, and what is that? That's a cross. Oh, that's a cross. We thought that's just Jesus. Yeah, but if you look at the way I wrote it, it's a cross. And then it goes, why? And that opens in, no, he died for us, right? Open what you do to be able to share the gospel and all of that. So that's why everybody in the family thought I was going to be the next priest until I saw girls in the classroom.
Moving to the D in the R.A.D life of Jesus, which is dream destiny, how did you overcome the limiting beliefs that art or sports can't pay enough?
Well, just by showing what you can do and being creative. And one of the things that we learned is showing, getting people to tell. See, I can't tell you what kind of house you want. You tell me, and while you're talking to me, I will sketch what you're saying to see, is this what you're looking for? And so the feedback from people, and I think that's what made me a good architect, because I listen to what people want instead of telling them, oh, you need a 2-story with this, because they might not. Then you build a house and goes, I didn't need this, that architect made. But when I built the house, and said, remember you said you want, yeah, look at what we did. This is what I want. Building something that people want is different from me telling you what you want and showing you, oh, look how good I am. I made you a good house, but it might be the house that you don't want. So one guy said, what is this thing called? I think he called it a lanai. And he goes, I thought it's called a patio. But he said, we call it a lanai. It's better than saying it's a patio. And it's freeform too. I don't do squares and rectangles. Sometimes I do, it will probably cost just a tad more, but it adds beauty to the home, and it's unique. If you make a house unique to what the people want, they will love that house because it's their dream, it's what they want, and their architect built it for them and helped them realize their dream. And that's one of the way I approach clients is, what house do you want? How do you want your house to look like? Blah, blah. Then I show them different houses that I've done. They look at features. Oh, I like that feature. Let's incorporate that in my house. Oh, I like that entrance. And then I put all of those together for them because it's different from what the other client wants.
What wisdom can you give soccer players that want to get paid for what they love, playing soccer?
Sharing with others, because the United States doesn't pay soccer athletes as much as they play as they do in Europe. 10 million, 13 million, blah blah, and all of that. But because of soccer is not our number one sport here, so that's why a lot of people are going to different countries because they could make more money there. But you could make enough money, and the way to satisfy the fact that you're making that money is to create a program for the kids. You start a camp. I do. Every Wednesday night is called an elite soccer skills camp, and I do it during the fall. now I'm doing it I used to do it in Modesto, then in Matica, and over in Tracy now, and I do it for free. Every Wednesday, everyone is invited, and we focus on kids 6 years old to 15 years old. Well, just work on your skills, because as far as making more money as a soccer player, just like one is doing now in Hawaii, he established a soccer camp for the kids. That's a lot of money, because each kids pay close to $500 per camp. And you get 200 kids in a camp times 300. That's a lot of money. So that's how you generate. But you have to be a successful soccer player also, and give back to the community. One of the things that makes a lot of soccer players successful is they give back to the church, they give back to their community, and then they get involved with programs that are nonprofit, and then all of a sudden they realize that people are giving money to them to help them out. And then, hey, if somebody gives you money, you could take 10% and give 90% away. So those are the things that a lot of soccer players can do to promote themselves. But you have to be successful in your career as well. That's why you practice every day.
Now, you are also in the military.
My dad was in the Army, and then they said, well, you need to serve your country. And they go, well, if I'm going to serve, I've got to do something that I know how to do. And then they test you, and then they said, you could be really good at numbers. And I said, yeah. And coordinates and all of that. You should join the Marines and be part of the Force Recon. And I didn't know at the time what that is. It's an elite group. And I said, sure, why not? So that's what I did, and I think one of the reasons why I value life is I probably helped more than 60 dying people in power. And when you hear them saying, please tell my dad I love him, tell my wife I love him, tell my husband, and I said, no, you're going to tell them yourself, knowing that they're going to die. And all I'm saying, oh, you're going to tell them yourself, that. So nothing bothers me. People ask me, why do you always say, every time somebody asks you how you're doing, you always say, I'm having the time of my life. Because God is my co-pilot. Everywhere I go, He's there. And I'll tell people, everywhere you go, He's there, right? So be conscious of what you say, what you do, how you treat people. Because I patterned my life after what I've read in the Bible. How Jesus Christ did this and did that. I'm not going to say that I'm as saintly as most of those people in the Bible, but they are the examples that we need to all follow, not what you read in books. My hero is God. My second hero is my parents. Somebody asked me, who's the person that have affected your life the most? It's my dad. Because if I could be half the person my dad was, I thought God made, because I've seen him. I've seen him how he took care of the family, how he took care of his business, how he took care of me. And if I could be half of that, I consider myself successful. So people are telling me right now, you've done so much more things than your dad. I said, I don't think I could ever surpass my dad's kindness. The same way that nobody could ever surpass what God has done for us. Yeah. He died for us. Jesus Christ died for us. And that's why I always bring that up. And people sometimes, oh, you're one of those holy rollers. I said, you know how many times I was in detention room in high school? But it's not for things that hurt people. It's just for mischievous stuff, like just scaring people in the hallway, stuff like that. Doing giving the teacher invisible ink, then he would write and then it will disappear. Because, remember, I just wrote that. What happened to all the things that I wrote? I don't know if you've ever heard of invisible ink. We would fill our teachers' the old pens where you fill it with ink. We would fill their ink with invisible pens, so they would write something, and then they'll look. I just wrote something and it's gone. And we were all laughing, and they go, Master Rualo, did you have something to do with this? And then everybody would laugh, and they go, you're the ringleader for, and then I get detention. Everything that we try to do, but I try to make it fun. It's a fun but mischievous way, but there's rules in school, so you gotta follow rules, like floating the principal's car in the swimming pool. Trying to figure out its buoyancy. How much can you put on top of something before it sinks? So I said, if we put all those pontoons underneath this platform, wonder how much we could put. So we drove the principal's car on the raft that we made, and it floated, and we didn't know how to put it back. So the bell rings and goes, assembly. My car is on a raft in the pool. Now I got to figure out how to. So they had to call somebody to help, a crane pull it. And then the fun part is it's an unwritten law in our boys' school. You don't tattletale on people like he did it. So they said, who was in charge of, who masterminded this idea? Everybody looked at me. It's almost like saying, oh, Master Rualo. It was just an idea. It was part of our curriculum. We were studying buoyancy. Oh, you thought it would be fun to see my car? Yes. So those are some of the stuff that got me in trouble. But and the funny part is people remember that. I remember when we floated principal said, car in the pool. Yes. Oh, one time we filled my friend's dad's car with balloons. With his full garage. Our jaw hurt from blowing those balloons because we didn't have what do you call it, the air pump. So we must have blown balloons. But so when he opened his garage door, there was balloons. He couldn't get his car in. And whose idea was that? Everybody looks at me. I was not the only one that did it.
Can you share the dream big quote, please?
Always dream big and dream as much as you want, because dreaming is free. Dreams are free. And always shoot for the stars. Because if you shoot for the stars and you don't reach the stars, you might land in the moon. That's not bad. So always dream as much as you want, because they're each free. It doesn't cost you to dream. It doesn't cost you anything to dream. So dream big.
Any encouragement you would like to leave our audience with?
Yes, they need to listen to more and get and attend gatherings that people like you guys do, because that's how the community grows uh, uh, towards the what God has left us here on earth. Like we need to love each other, and if there's somebody in the community like you guys, this divine kingdom that you guys are putting together, attend as much or as many gatherings that talks about God, and if you do that, not only do you grow as a person, uh, the community grows with you. You know, because like I said, I was so inspired by the day that I went and watched. That's the first time I've watched Schumann rap, and the message that he gave. And I started looking around. Everybody was like, "Could don't stop," you know. And it's very inspiring that God takes people like us to share His word, you know. And I'm looking at him like that just didn't happen. So I couldn't stop talking about it to everybody. I was telling everybody, "Hey guys, we have a chance to watch this guy rap. You should, because it's so inspiring." Blah blah, and I couldn't stop talking about it. That's why I asked you guys right away, when's the next one? You know, and what help do you need? Do you want me to go out there and help by what do you call that? Leading the group in singing before we introduce the main attraction, which is this guy that's gonna share God's word through rapping. That's a gift. You know, how many people can rap and share God's word? Not too many. You know, and everything that came out of his mouth was like the gospel truth. How do you not get inspired?
Divine Kingdom Testimonial.
Everybody that has a chance to attend a Divine Kingdom event, not only will you be inspired, not only will you feel like the whole place is rising up and going to heaven, you will experience a moment in time and in your life that you will never forget for the rest of your life.